Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back into the video, and some quite interesting news. There's a lot of NFL news I'm gonna try to cover today or tomorrow. Um, but one of the interesting ones, and obviously this is in the follow up to the Rams case, which I'll probably address that video. Address the Rams whole situation, the whole Ram lawsuit and St. Louis lawsuit, because obviously that didn't end the way I thought it would end. But nonetheless, um, an article, multiple articles have come out yesterday and today about um, the Denver Broncos franchise potentially being on the verge of being sold. Um, Now you guys all know I have no love lost with the Denver Broncos since they took our Super Bowl in Super Bowl 32, being a Packers fan. Um, but I always thought this was interesting. I always like these really investing into these cases with the owners, and obviously the Ram lawsuit, which St. Louis lawsuit, which was about 6 years. And this was about, I think, a 5 year case. It's been going on since the owner unfortunately passed away. Um, Pat Bolin, who was the owner for the Broncos, and he unfortunately passed away. And so usually in these type of cases, it's usually either a son or a daughter that inherits the team, or the wife. In some cases, and so Pat, and there could be some stuff I could be making a mistake on, because I mean this case has been 5 years old, and when cases are that long, you seem to forget certain stuff. Um, so there might be some stuff I might have missed here, but if I'm not mistaken, when I remember this case when it first came out, was that the issue was about the trustee. The whole trustee thing was the issue, because Pat allegedly changed the will before he died in I think in 2012, and there was an original will like in 2003. Could be wrong about the years, but it was around those time frames. And in 2012, he changed it, and the older daughter from, and I don't remember her name, but the older daughter from a different marriage, like had a different mother, had contested that he was incompetent during that time, during 2012, to have written a new will. And these are some things that happen where sometimes people think that, oh well, during this time period when he wrote this, he wasn't incompetent at the time. This is what they do with a lot of the older people, is a lot of people take advantage with it, and it's case by case thing. I don't exactly know the case for this one, but this is basically what the daughter had argued, and that's why we're kind of here with the Broncos in this whole case. Now I remember that the NFL, and I believe Pat had in his newer will, that the ownership would go to his younger daughter from his current marriage. Um, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she was like 29 or something at the time, when they were like saying that she passed the NFL test, and she's the only person that's qualified to be the Broncos owner, or whatever, under the family, or whatever. And that's basically what they were going to court for. Now, during the time being, I believe it was in 2019. Yes, it was. Joe Ellis, if I'm saying that right. He took over the ownership basically in 2019. Didn't really take it over, I should say. He is basically handling the ownership right now. So he's basically like a temporary owner for the time being until all these legal cases are resolved, basically. So he's basically running the team, but he's not really an owner. He's not really an owner. He's just basically running the team for Pat until they can find the new owner that replaces the team, whether it be someone out of the family or someone in the family. Now, one of the things, if I'm not mistaken, was I believe one of the minority owners is actually the uncle of Pat, which I don't understand why he isn't qualified to become the majority owner. I don't, because he's within the family too, but they're basically saying that like it can only be this one daughter, and I don't remember her name. But I believe she was like I think she was like 29 at the time, and they were saying that she was the only one that was qualified out of the children to be able to take it over. And I believe here's her name right here, Brittany Bolin is her. I don't know how old she, but I remember them saying that she was like in her 20s at the time. Um, so she's quite young for someone to basically be given an entire franchise of a football team that's worth $3.8 billion, might I add. That's $1 billion. That's worth more than the Bills. The Bills were sold for what, 2.8? The Bills were sold for 2.8 when the Pagulas bought them. Or no, 1.8. I'm sorry, 1.8 billion. So that's even worse. 1.8 is how much the Bills were worth when the Buffalo Bills were sold to the Pagulas, and that's where I'm kind of marking the standard because that was the most recent purchase from a franchise. Were the Bills, and so the Broncos are worth twice as much as that, and that's primarily due to that they have 3 Super Bowls. And they just won a Super Bowl not too long ago. I mean, it's probably a while ago for Bronco fans, but it's quite recently in NFL terminology. Um, but yeah, she's the only one that they insist can be the owner. And I think he has like 5 kids, and a bunch of them are from different different marriages and whatnot. But yeah, so right now they're basically saying that like he's on the verge of being sold. There were reportedly there were uh that the Denver Broncos had meetings with seller side bankers, which indicates that they're ready to sell the team, and that is true. That is basically how it is, and there was 4 different groups. So it's quite interesting. And the Broncos put out a statement saying to Yahoo that they basically said they're not currently for sale, but that could be all bullshit. Just so because people found out, so now they're just saying that. But if I'm not mistaken, they're supposed to still have a court hearing right now. They're supposed to like figure out like all this, who's taking over the team, whether Brittany will be able to take over the team or something else, because the NFL just doesn't want the other daughters. I think it's only daughters that I think he only has daughters. But they basically said that it's only her and that's it. And in the NFL, you can only have one majority owner. You can't have multiple different people, having an equal split or whatever. You can't have that in the NFL. The NFL has rules where you're not allowed to do that. The Packers are allowed to be owned by the city because back in the 30s, that's when they became owned by the city, and there was no commissioner back then. There were no rules back then. So the Packers are grandfathered in to being able to do what they're doing. But all these other teams basically are forced to be owned by one person, majority owner. What will happen to the Broncos? I don't think the Broncos will, like, whoever does get it, whether the Brittany person takes it over or it goes somewhere else, to another, person that owns them. I don't think the Broncos are going to be moving out of Denver. I think the Broncos have a solid fan base, and I can't see foreseeing that. You know, they're not as they definitely aren't as bad as the Chargers right now, which Chargers are in freaking LA and they can't even sell out their games without visitors, the visiting team being there to buy the tickets. You know, like it's embarrassing. The Steelers when they were there a couple weeks ago, you know, it was mostly Steeler fans. I mean, yeah, you had your Chargers, but it was probably like 25% Charger fans, and the rest were 75% of it was Steelers, and that's embarrassing. So I don't think Denver will leave. If it does go to, I don't think the Broncos will leave Denver, but it will be interesting to see if they get new owners because it's going to be different because right now John Elway is like kind of like I think the like he's not the GM anymore, but he's like one of the higher up guys there um, within the organization, and we've seen what happens there. I don't think Elway can own the team because I don't think he has that much kind of money to be able to buy the team. That's probably one thing that probably people would suggest, but I can't see that with 3.8 billion. I don't think Elway has that kind of money. Um, as rich as he is. Um, so yeah, I don't know right now. It's for the brief information I got, this doesn't look good. I think they're supposed to have a court hearing over the trust because it kept getting delayed, you know, especially once COVID hit. Uh, so there'll definitely be something happening at the end of the season. I don't think we're going to hear any more about this until the end of the season. I think they're just kind of putting this out there to get people ready. And this could be also a scare tactic, too, to kind of intimidate the family into, like, figuring it out quickly because, you know, if they don't, they're going to just sell it. Because the NFL at the end of the day, they want things to keep moving. You know, we've seen it with the Rams with the St. Louis lawsuit, you know, and I'll get into that too. But they just want things moving. They just want to move on. You know, they still haven't released those, 600, 500,000 emails, other than the John Gruden ones. So they clearly just want to keep things moving. And that's just how the NFL is. It's all about the money. It's all about the bottom dollar. They don't care about the fans' feelings. Uh, it's just always about moving forward to the next person. And if you're getting in the way, they're just going to move on. And that's where I think this whole lawsuit is right now with the whole trusting dispute, the trustee dispute. I think the NFL has had enough of it, and I think they want to get it resolved. And so I think this is kind of a scare tactic to push it forward, whether giving it to Brittany or having to move it to a different person, to a different business person, moving forward. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Where do you guys think this is gonna go? Comment, rate if you like this video. Please subscribe, and that's about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku Moderator. Peace.